I used to think building websites was just building websites. The client asks, I design, they pay, all is well. Not so simple. Not until I found myself at 2 a.m. because a client requested instant reply. Another client had me making tons and tons of reviews that went on and on and on and on. And some payments dragged into weeks turned months. At some point, I realized that I wasn't just building websites, I was literally drowning in payments, endless revisions, and chaotic timelines. Something really had to change. So I fixed my process by making some additions and changes, streamlining my onboarding and offboarding processes, and the difference that it made was huge. I had smoother projects, better clients, and most importantly, higher revenue. Now, before I walk you through what I did, hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Olisa, and I'm a web designer. I help entrepreneurs optimize their websites for better conversions. Now, before I talk about what changes that I made to my client process, let me first of all tell you why initially my client process was such a big mess. And that was because I had no structure. Now, at the start, I didn't have any onboarding or offboarding processes. I was just building websites and handing it over to clients. And with this came a lot of miscommunication and misunderstood roles. A lot of times we were not in sync with the client, what they actually wanted, and also the communication processes and channels to be used and timelines as well. So a lot of things were misconstrued. Again, shared responsibilities, were not clearly defined. Clients didn't understand what they needed to do and the information that they needed to provide for me. They assumed that whenever they asked me to build a website, I have to go and get both the creatives, the copy, and the rest of them without them actually making an input. And it wasn't always so. Again, I had pricing issues because I was not able to charge properly for my work. I didn't have any systems to streamline. And because I was afraid of losing clients, I would spend hours and hours and hours on a lot of reviews, which wasn't right. Also, even after initial fees were discussed, I still took on more extra projects within the scope of the project that we're currently running without actually charging extra for it. And due to this poor management, stress was creeping in. I would get messages at odd hours, clients expected instant processes, and when I tried setting boundaries, some of my clients really got angry. The stress was just too much for me. And at some point I realized that this was just not sustainable for me. I needed systems that worked both for me and for my clients. And this was the turning point for me to implement better client processes. Now, the first thing that I did was to implement a clear system. So I took a step back and restructured and changed a whole lot of things. I started using more automation and more tools. I had to implement Dubsado. I started using Dubsado for contracts, invoices, and process updates. So no more chasing clients for payments. I also created Google Forms for project questionnaires. Now, I'm going to share a link to my Google Form sample so that you can take it as well and make your own processes much better. Now, these Google Forms help me to gather more information about the scope of the project, what the client actually wanted for their brand, and that helps me a whole lot right from the start. Now, setting clear expectations, I included contracts that also align the scope of the work, timelines and channels for communication, and also means of communication. And most importantly, revision limits. Now, this made a huge difference as clients understood what was required and what was needed for them. And also, I stopped working overtime, making endless revisions. Then again, I had a structured offboarding system. So instead of just handing over the website to the client, I made sure that I had a video explaining what I did on the project, the changes that I made, and how they can also make those changes in the future. Also, I introduced them to my referral programs, and this worked magically because now they understood that I cared more about their business. And in this referral system, they got discounts on their next project, and this made me to be more engaged with them as time went on. So after making these changes, everything clicked. Timing was smooth, communication was smooth, and we had clear expectations. Now, since implementing these changes, I've actually worked with a lot of clients that respected my time, understood their responsibilities, and actually stick to the process. And this meant that I was more efficient because now projects are properly streamlined and timelines are defined and projects are much faster. And I didn't have to deal with unnecessary revisions. Another one was higher revenue and much better clients. Now, it meant that I started working with clients that really understood the value that I brought to the table, clients who understood what they actually wanted and were willing to go for it. And this was all because I positioned myself as a professional and ultimately leading to an increased revenue. And most importantly, I had client retention and referral systems that worked, because now I was more concerned about the well-being of my clients' businesses even after we were done with the project, as I also introduced them to a referral program, which allowed them to get back to me and have more work done on their business. All they had to do was refer a certain number of clients. And because of this, I've had clients that I've worked over and over again. A lot of my clients, I've worked with them over and over again within the past 3 years, all because I was implementing these processes. And with this, I had a steady flow of income. It meant that I was not always on the chase for new clients. Just like every other agency owner who was always on the chase for the next clients, now I had a proper structure. And all this is because I decided to streamline my processes, and that helped me to grow my business. So let's discuss the key takeaways. Now, if you're a designer struggling to get clients, here's what I would recommend. Streamline your processes by having a structured onboarding and offboarding systems so that there is no confusion. Also, automate your systems. Have the back office or the paperwork automated. Use Dubsado or other tools like Honeybooks as well. Use Google Forms to be able to streamline and automate a whole lot of processes. Now, in the description, I have the questionnaire that I give out to my clients for them to fill, so that I'm able to get more information on the scope of the project and what it is that they actually wanted. Now, it is linked in the description, so you can download that all for free and streamline your own processes. And lastly, stay connected even after the project is done. Don't just hand over the work and then just relax and start looking for another client, hustling from one paycheck to one paycheck. Stay in contact even after the project has been done, and have referral systems where clients can come back in the future, thereby extending the lifetime value of a particular client for you. So if I had to start all over again right now, automating my processes and streamlining my onboarding and offboarding systems would be most important on my list, as it would have saved me a whole lot of stress. Now, if you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and tell us in the comment section how you intend to improve your processes or what you need to add to your own processes to make it much easier for you to be able to generate higher revenue. Now, I do have a video on where I talk about how I get clients off of Instagram. I also have another video where I talked about how to pick a niche as a web designer. Do check these videos out, and I'll see you in the next one.